Donald Trump's reign of terror on the news media continues. His desire to bend the media to his will, to remove all objectivity from news broadcasts and make them all subservient to him, continues, and it expands. It goes beyond the shores of the US now into international, highly esteemed, reputable broadcasters like the BBC. You see, Trump sued ABC News over a totally spurious claim. As George Stephanopoulos actually said something of fact, but he sued him for it anyway, and the ABC ended up capitulating to him and giving him $15 million to settle out of court. Very nice if you're Donald Trump. CBS was also sued by Donald Trump, again for something completely spurious, but they decided to bend the knee to him, and instead of actually taking the case to court and getting it thrown out, they settled and gave him $16 million. There's other broadcasters that have been affected this way too. Trump has already started to sue the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion, again stating things that we know that are fact. Conversations that went on between him and his Attorney General that were well known and leaked and publicised by the Wall Street Journal. He's suing them for something that he knows is actually true reporting. So Wall Street Journal is continuing with that. He tried to sue the New York Times for $15 billion in a lawsuit that was so ridiculous that the judge threw it out. It wasn't even listened to. He's even suing the Pulitzer Prize Committee because they awarded the Pulitzer Prize to a journalist he didn't like. These are the ways in which Trump absolutely goes beyond anything we've ever seen before in Western history to try to manipulate, bully, cajole and suppress the media. And now he's gone beyond the shores of the US to the UK. The BBC made a mistake. It was a small mistake. They basically played a speech in a documentary that Trump gave during the 2020 storming of the Capitol, the one that he gave outside the Rotunda, where he basically effectively encouraged people to take things into their own hands. But the way they edited it, put a couple of pieces of his speech together side by side, so it looked like he said something continuously when it was actually just in different parts of the speech, that's all. What they should have done is put a little white flash in the middle just to make sure that people understood that there are different parts of the speech. So they made a small technical error. And then they apologised for that, said, yeah, we made a small technical error. Even people resigned from the organisation because of that, including the head of the organisation, the Director General. Yes, we've made mistakes. So not only did they apologise, heads rolled. It was a small mistake, but they absolutely sort of conducted a major mea culpa over it. And what happened? Trump, nevertheless, has gone out and said he's going to sue them for between $1 billion and $5 billion. Now, bear in mind, the BBC is a public service broadcaster. It is paid for by taxpayers' money, by people like me who pay taxes in the UK. Those taxes go to fund all our public services, and that includes the BBC.
$1 billion, £1 billion, let's say, is about a third of the BBC's overall budget. If that ever came to pass, that would be the end of the BBC. The BBC, frankly, cannot afford to give up a third of its income to a billionaire president.
The BBC is respected around the world as an objective source of news. In countries around the world, say during the fall of communism, say in other dictatorial regimes, people have huddled around their radios and TVs to listen to the BBC to find out what was really going on, because their own media organisations wouldn't tell them the truth. They knew that. Listen to countries in the former Soviet Union. How did they end up fomenting revolution? How? Because they knew their own governments were telling them lies, their own media was telling them lies, and so they had to try and get a way to listen to the BBC so they could find out what's really going on. And of course, Trump wants to completely kneecap them. He wants to kneecap anybody who tells the truth. This is how all dictators work. This is the first chapter in the playbook of all dictators. Decimate the objective media. And where do you get to when you do this? The place that you get to in the end is where Vladimir Putin is right now. Go to a press conference by Vladimir Putin, just listen to them. I mean, they're literally sickening to watch. Journalists sitting there asking questions like, how come you're right on every decision you make, Mr. President? How come the decision you made on this was so perfectly astute? How come you were so on the ball when you assessed the situation? How come your response to this situation was so perfect? Tell us. dear President. That's exactly what their press conference is like. That's what Donald Trump wants. Just remember, the thing about dictators is they're not strong people at all. They're extremely weak people. They're unable to cope with criticism. The kind of criticism that almost all adults are able to cope with. I mean, we all deal with criticism, say from friends and family and other people around our lives all the time. And we often accept and grow from that. But dictators are such weak people, they cannot truck any critique of any kind. And so Trump now is waging this war against the media, and it's come to the BBC as well. The thing is, here he might end up getting truly humiliated. Because first of all, the BBC isn't in a situation like some of these other broadcasters, like ABC and CBS, who needed to settle because they were going through a merger of some kind. They were going through some kind of acquisition where they needed the Trump administration support. That's why they ended up giving him money, settling out of court, making him feel good about it all so that they could get what they wanted. The BBC doesn't want or need anything from Donald Trump. It's a publicly funded body funded by UK taxpayers, and it doesn't need anything from any US administration. Secondly, the laws in the UK are that he cannot actually sue the BBC in the UK. Why? Because this issue is over 5 years old. You're not able to use libel laws when it's something that's happened more than 5 years ago, because you have to prove that it's affecting you now. And it isn't, because it's over 5 years ago. So Trump isn't able to sue the BBC. He's going to have to sue in the States. And in the States, he's going to have to prove that the BBC had malice towards him in this error. It wasn't a mistake. They had to prove that it was a deliberate sort of distortion in order to harm Trump. And the only way they prove that is by showing, first of all, was it even shown in America? This documentary was aired on UK TV. We don't even know. I don't even think it was shown in America. And if it was shown in America, how many people watched it? Was it enough people to actually affect the results? If you wanted to sort of subvert the course of the US election, is this how you would do it? Air a program in the UK, and maybe a few people might watch it in the US. Is that how you would try to defeat Donald Trump? Of course not. They have to prove that Trump's administration has to prove that BBC did this on purpose in order to try to prevent Trump getting elected. It makes no sense. It didn't even play there. So that is what Trump is going to have to do. So the BBC needs to stand firm. Unfortunately, the weakness of the BBC, the problem with the BBC has been that they're far too willing to capitulate to the right. That happens in this country. This is why people resigned over a small editing error. People shouldn't have resigned. The head of news resigned. The head of the Director General of the BBC resigned. Completely overreaction. And I hope that they are able to draw a line in the sand and this time stand firm and say, you know what? We are not going to settle with you, Donald Trump. You don't have a case here. And you do not have the right to try to muzzle us in the way that you're trying to do with your own media in the States. This is where it must end. This is where Trump must be stopped and his humiliation must begin. You don't get to control all of the media all of the time. I hope you like my video. As a psychiatrist who loves politics and economics and philosophy, I love to make videos like this, and you can really help promote this video to other people and get it on your feed more by liking and commenting and subscribing to the video as well. We have a wonderful community of people here who comment and support each other through this very traumatic period of world history that we're going through right now. I also hope you consider becoming a subscriber to the channel and also subscribing to my e-newsletter. There's a link in the description, and that way we can stay in touch outside the channel, so you can keep abreast of all of the content that I'm making on an ongoing basis. The latest of which actually is my latest book called We the People. Very, very proud of this book. It's actually a novel, a fiction book written by myself and the famous award-winning author T.J. McGregor. Together we wrote a book about what the future might look like. Bit of a dystopian novel, but what might happen if autocracy goes to its next stage, AI predicting the potential end of humanity. I actually made a video about that, it really happened. And how things might pan out in this dystopian world, and actually how a band of committed, passionate, progressive people managed to change the trajectory, and not in the way that you think. It's not just by running a candidate and opposing the autocrat, but actually by deepening the democracy that we have and engaging in a real participatory form of democracy that sort of shifts the needle and gets us back to basics and helps us sort of rebuild our democracy. And that's within the context of a really compelling, gripping story, a bunch of fascinating characters, and I assure you, you will not be able to sort of stop turning the page until you get to the end of the book. That's what all the reviewers have said so far. Lots of people love it, and I hope you can get it. You can get it on Amazon, any of the global Amazon bookstores out there. Please do order your copy of We the People. Just put We the People Russell Razak and you'll be able to find it inside Amazon as well. Also, I hope you consider becoming a member of the channel. You can subscribe to a couple of different membership levels. All members of the channel also get some free ebooks that I produce once a month. You can buy those ebooks too from russellsbooks.com. That's russellsbooks.com, and every month I produce a new ebook on that channel, which is really about, these are the non-fiction books I produce with my team, which is really about how to learn about the world around us and the psychologies of the people who govern us, but also how to learn about ourselves, deepen our own self-awareness in a way that helps us navigate this difficult world we're in right now. So those are sort of self-help books that are produced every month, and if you're a member of the channel, you get a sort of 100% discount on those books every month. Otherwise, you can go to russellsbooks.com, as I say, and buy them anytime you like. I really hope you can become a part of this community, as I say. So this sort of supportive community, validating and helping each other, is really worth being a part of, and I hope you can join us as we all join forces to create a better tomorrow together. Thank you.